And welcome into another edition of State Champs Face Off, the Lacrosse Show. My name is Sean Baligian, joined as always by the coach, Greg Durham, the head coach at Orchard Lake St. Mary's. And here we are, coach, some great regional action going on already. I want to get it out there. Congratulations to you guys. You guys got a win already, and a big one coming up. As a matter of fact, we're taping this on Tuesday to let everybody know, but you got a big one coming up tomorrow night, no doubt about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll talk more about that as we move forward. I think the first round matchups, I think overall, most of the teams that had the higher seeds moved on. I didn't see too many discrepancies, especially in Division I and Division II. Same with the girls. The thing about the girls regions is it's a little bit different. I think I kind of compared it to like the hockey. Yeah, you're going to have some really good teams in the region, but sometimes they're going to catch each other earlier than expected. So it's not completely seeded like the boys exactly, but at least they have more of a regional matchups where they can actually compete against pretty decent teams. Like, for example, I know tonight, like Livonia plays Novi. That's a pretty good matchup for a first round girls game. We'll see how that goes, but that should be a really good game. They had a tight contest the first time they played. I think Livonia beat them by 1, but it was a good game. So it's really nice to see within that girls, but it's going to be tougher as they move on. And I think what you're going to do, because there's not as many girls teams as there's boys, that's why the regions are kind of bigger. They only have 4 regions on each side in Division I and Division II, while the guys have 8, right, in each thing. And so you see the regions that have more matchups, different ways to play. But I think overall, the competition should be really good. And I think the regional finals eventually within the girls will be excellent. I think there's some really good matchups there. The boys, the regionals, I think that most of the teams right now in the matchups for the boys is pretty much straightforward. I don't see in Division I don't see too many teams having too much trouble in their region. The only region that kind of stands out to me in Division I is probably Region 1, Mona Shores versus Hudsonville. That's going to be a pretty good game if those two teams end up being in the region final in Region 1. Unfortunately, if they win, they'll probably have to play Heartland. But, the whole point is getting that region win, getting that trophy, and, it's a great growth. It's good growth for some of these newer programs to have a regional crown for your team. So that's one thing that's really nice, Division II.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No. I wanted to bring up, it's funny, you brought up the hockey thing, and we've coined the term Region of Doom. There are some Region of Dooms. I think in particular on the girls' side, it's interesting to note there are some Region of Dooms where it is deep, and you're like, whoa, I can't, but that's almost a can't miss game this early in the tournament.
Like, Forest Hill Central, who is a really good team and probably one of the strongest teams in girls lacrosse this year, they're going to have to play EGR early. And, that's not good for either team. They don't want to play and eliminate. You would rather see that regional final EGR Forest Hill Central. So I just see that as, one thing down the line. I think the other one, it could be, otherwise everything else kind of balances out with the girls. The Region 6 in the girls in Division 2, where you have Divine Child playing Mercy, and then you have Skyline playing Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard. Those two games, the winners of those will play in the regional final. And I tell you what, they're all solid teams. Like they have some good wins, they have some losses, but they're all similar. And I'll tell you what, granted, I've been talking high on Mercy all year, but, Divine Child's played a really tough schedule, and they played some really good teams, and they've won some great games. And, Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard, they continuously win. And so, winning does matter, and it gives you confidence and boost. That could take them all the way to the regional final, and that should be a good game to come out of there. So, Region 6 in the girls division is going to be tough, but we really won't know for a while yet because the girls, like I said, they're delayed. Their regional semifinals aren't till May 30th and 31st. Yep. The boys' finals, regional finals, are on May 30th. So most of them anyhow. So that's the difference, I think, that with the girls and the guys. But getting back to the boys too, like Division Two, like our region is brutal. Like it's the hardest. I think it's the most balanced region out of all of them for the
Agreed.
boys. And saying that because you got Cranbrook, who's number 1 seed, you've got us, who's number 2 seed, and you got Stony Creek, number 3, and I think Adams is the 4th. So, the 2 Rochester public schools against the 2 Catholic schools or Catholic League schools, I mean, any way it could go, and it's a good region. And, if we prevail over Stony Creek or Stony Creek prevails over us, they still have to play Cranbrook. And Cranbrook is one of the hotter teams in the state right now. They're playing really well. They've had some great games. So, looking at stuff like that, I'm excited for our region. We've had to prepare very hard. My team has to prepare for not just Stony Creek, but you also got to prepare for Cranbrook if you win, because there's not a lot of time, with Memorial Weekend. But it is some good matchups, and I really like it. So I think that overall, Division I and Division II, we're going to see better games after the region's done.
Yep.
You're going to see those quarterfinal games are going to be tough. And then you're going to see, obviously, the semifinals, moving forward. My prediction, you'll see Brother Rice and Heartland and Catholic Central. And then the last spot's up in the air. I mean, that 4th spot could be anybody. But like I said, I see those 3 teams in the semifinal. CC's on a roll. I mean, I know they got, because of the schedule, they only had 8 state in-games, and that's why they kind of got hindered with their regional setup where they're in the 6th seed in all the regions. But CC has beaten Rice, they've beaten East Grand Rapids, and they've beaten Forest Hill Central their last 3 games. And so that's pretty impressive. And I tell you what, I don't want to play them. I mean, I don't want to play them. But that's going to be a really good. That's going to be tight, and I'm excited for Division I boys. I think it's going to be outstanding. The finals or the semifinals are going to be outstanding. Division II, Division II is a little bit different. I still think there's some teams that can slide through, but here's what's crazy is Country Day got the 1 seed because they beat Forest Hill Central early in the season. Forest Hill Central is a really good team. Forest Hill Central, it's not going to affect them at all. They're going to probably have to play East Grand Rapids to get into the finals if they want to get there. And that might be the toughest matchup for them. But, other than playing in the finals if they play Country Day. But like I said, Division II, those are the top 2 teams, Country Day and Forest Hill Central. And I, not saying anything, taking anything from my team or anybody else's, but they are the best 2 teams in Division II by far, so.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was looking at Region 15, and that's hosted by GPS. And listen, Coach, you've been talking up the Yellow Jackets all year, DCD, for good reason. That Final Four in that region is set. DCD, Grosse Pointe North, GPS taking on Warren de La Salle. That's a pretty good bracket. I mean, look, as you said, DCD clearly the favorite, but that's a pretty good bracket. And to me, that's what makes it fun, especially, if you're sitting there, your GPS, you're like, we're hosting this baby. Anything can happen. But those are the kind of brackets that I look at and go, boy, I'd like to drive out there and see those in a couple days.
Right. But the thing is, like Country Day, like those semifinal games in the region, they're going to be good games in a lot of these regions, right? They're going to be tight. But like I said, when it comes to like Country Day, just because of their strength of schedule and the teams they played and the teams they beat, you can't take anything away from them of that. I mean, they've been pretty dominant for the most part this season. And the crazy thing about Country Day is next year they're just going to be just as good or even better because they're young. They don't have a lot of seniors, which some of these other teams have a ton of seniors. So that they're going to be a tough team to beat. That's it. And they're well coached. Chris Garland's a great coach, just like Andy Shire is a great coach at Forest Hill Central. They battled several times against each other. And we'll see who prevails when that happens.
Let's talk a little bit about your bracket now. I know we touched on it earlier, but you're in a situation where you got a tough one coming up, and if you have some success in that, a good Cranbrook team, and I'll tell you what, Coach, a lot of times you say this all the time in hockey, and I think you can repeat it a lot of times in lacrosse. Don't necessarily look at some of these records. There are some good teams out there that maybe the wins and losses don't show it based on, that strength of schedule and who they played.
Well, I mean, Cranbrook's their overall schedule right now is 7-11. That's
Yep.
our record. 7-11. Why? Because we've played really good teams throughout the whole season. Whether some teams are in state or out of state or whatever it may be. I just hope that our schedule that I had, that was a gauntlet, and we got crushed a couple times, but I think overall it's going to make us better and prepared for the playoffs, because if we can go against these teams, we know what the worst can be. All we have to do is play our best to get by some of these teams that, hey, they haven't had the schedule we have. They haven't had the gauntlet. They don't play in the Catholic League, where it's Rice, CC, Cranbrook, De La Salle, UAD. And so those games right there alone are tough as they are. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch at all. Like I said, Stony Creek's a good team. We're not overlooking them. We can't. I mean, that's just the way it is.
So, hey, it's time for our Warrior Player of the Year, brought to you by our friends at Warrior. Can't thank them enough for sponsoring this and just being a big part of so much of what we do at State Champs. Coach, we're going to let some of these regional games play out, but moving week is coming. There's no doubt about that. I know in just talking to you, without mentioning any names, there are some names that have really made a case for themselves. And, let's face it, as we show you our criteria, see, look at John. Johnny Kidd is always on cue. There's our criteria. We're going to shake things up a little bit in the next week. The next time we talk, this time next week, there are going to be some changes on this list. And I have a feeling, Coach, there might be a few changes. That's not to disrespect anybody, but there are some guys that have been, making the case in recent weeks for putting their names on this list. And what better way to make your case than getting it done in some of this regional playoff action?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of these guys that we have on the list, they're all going to be going pretty deep in the playoffs. Maybe a couple may not, but the whole thing is that you keep winning, you get exposed, and you keep exposing yourself out to the public. You get your name out there, and it's only going to help your team get farther. And then, for your accolades yourself, your individual accolades, it's going to be huge. So it's great to see that some of these guys are really stepping it up and playing really, really well.
Well, and this is where we need you, everybody out there who watches this show. If you would be so kind, just go to our website. You can be a part of this process. Vote early, vote often, do what you have to do to make some noise for your guy. And when it's all said and done, whoever is the top vote getter, they are automatically jettisoned right into our Final Four. Then after that, the committee gets together, has the conversation, you pick 3 other guys, and then using our criteria, we figure out who will be the winner of the Warrior Lacrosse Player of the Year trophy this year. It's such a fun process, Coach Durham. I can't wait for you to be a part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talented players. It's just not going to be just 1 or 2 the same type of people all the time. It could be a defenseman, it could be a goalie, it could be a face-off guy. We've got I think we have 3 face-off guys out there. Usually in the past, you'll find player of the years, attackman, maybe a stud goalie that just stands out. And this is the time, just like hockey, stud goalies can win games. And hopefully we'll see a couple of other goalies step it up this year, especially in the playoffs. You're going to see maybe some defensemen. There's going to be some outliers things that happen, but let's see if anybody shocks anybody and gets into those playoffs. Because I tell you what, there's a lot of teams out there that are really well coached that can make some noise and make the waves and maybe have an upset or 2.
Well, if you're still playing, good luck to you. Regional action, and Coach, good luck to you as well, and certainly the Eaglets. And by the way, if these games are in your area, go out and support this great sport. It's a fantastic time. You have incredible action out there, and the high caliber of athlete cannot be understated. This game at this level has grown leaps and bounds, and that's the reason why so many of these guys are moving on once they finish high school. But, Coach, it should be a fantastic week. Certainly, I wish you and your family all the best as well. We'll talk again after Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day to you. Happy Memorial Day to John Kidd, and happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. Go out and support this great product. Some great games in all over the state in the next week, Coach.
Yep, watch some lacrosse, and if you have time this weekend, Saturday, you got the Final Four for college. Should be awesome. And then Monday is the final, and that's I usually try to schedule my practice around that. Watch it during the day, and then come to practice for that last Memorial Day practice before we play in the regional final, if we get there. So
yeah, no doubt about it. All right, for the coach, Greg Durham, my name is Sean Baligian. Special shout out to John Kidd. Thanks for everything you do behind the scenes. Thanks for watching us on State Champs Face-Off.
State Champs Face-Off is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious. Make magic. Visit ltu.edu. Face-Off is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud sponsor of the MHSAA. Warrior Lacrosse, Michigan-based, Michigan-built. Visit warrior.com. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Male and Female Athlete of the Year Awards. Who will be this year's award winners? Find out live June 5th, only on the State Champs Sports Network.